guys? Welcome back to the Pulse of Willie and Al. How's it going today, brother?
Man, not too bad, not too bad. Another day here. It's warm, blue skies. Can't really complain or ask for much else. So
Yeah, man,
you
it's a
know,
little bit sunny here, so we're enjoying that.
yeah,
We are back today with episode 77. So we'll get to the title in a little bit. And we don't always want to start out on a somber note, but today we kind of have to.
yeah.
Uh real quick, one of my father's close friends passed away, it looks like on Sunday. One of my father's college teammates, this guy Scott Pacino, who was the first All-American wrestler at the Division One level from the University of Rhode Island, the very first one that they had, one of two. And the reason we bring him up today is he's a guy that's had just a great impact on many people, and those around him. But I want to talk just a minute about the impact that he had on me, because I was someone growing up that I think struggled a little bit with self confidence, and he was someone that whenever he talked to you, he made you feel important, regardless of what it was you were doing, where you were in life, what you had going for you, what wasn't going right for you. He made you feel like you were important. And I think that was incredibly valuable for me. And I don't think I ever told him how much I really needed that in those times. But in addition to that, he was an excellent listener. And there's a lot of people that will listen to you in life. But he was one of those people that when you talk to him, you really felt like you were heard. And those are two invaluable skills um, that I think a lot of people in the world could learn from, and something he really found a way to master. Um, and the reason I bring him up, and not to talk more about him and stuff, because I really did, the times that I got to spend with him, I really did cherish, and that was mostly his fault, right? he he was that guy that just made you
Yeah.
cherish the times you got to spend with him. But he's also a prolific sports agent for Octagon Sports, and so he's someone that's going to be missed a lot throughout Major League Baseball, and someone that had a really good relationship with not only a lot of players, but a lot of front offices as well. And I think that just speaks volumes as to who he was as a person, and someone that's going to be dearly missed. He's survived by his two sons and his wife, who are great people as well. And one of the things that I wanted to mention with his passing, I know his son actually runs has a fundraiser for him going, that's been going for quite some time on ways to be able to beat cancer. And so I'm going to put the link down below in our video. Anything you can throw to that would definitely help out, and help him and his family going forward. But just a guy that had a really really big impact on the people that he touched. Very very lucky to be a part of that. So I just wanted to mention that. And
Yeah, I kind of follow up on that. I kind of really didn't put two and two together until right now. But like what you described in this guy, like is your dad coaching. Like, and I can imagine that like spending time with this guy, that's where he got that from. Because your dad, a lot of the same way, like good listener, like he always heard you, like always made you feel like more than a human. Like he always got on your level, and like that's yeah. So it's nice to see that like there was a blueprint for that before your dad, and like that. I think that's really cool. So
yeah, it's a lot of times in life you see like the impact that friends have on each other and stuff, and I know that
yeah,
my dad, who I think is a great person, is was made better by this guy. And I think that's something that is it's really neat to be able to see out there. So he will be
yeah,
missed, but I definitely feel that like it's the stories about him, the way he went about himself, and the people that he impacted, that's what keeps his legacy alive as to who he was. Um, and I hope those stories will, forever be with me, which is a good thing. Um, Kind of segueing into baseball, which is, his, I think had to be one of his favorite sports. It must have been with him
sure.
being an agent there. Just some interesting stories that we have coming up here, that have started the season off, and really kind of great and quite dramatic fashion, I guess you could say. And I don't know how you feel about this, but I want to get your thoughts on it with Aaron Judge. I mean, he's hitting a ridiculous 405. I'd assume if anyone, you told them that, hey, Aaron Judge is leading the league in batting average right now, you'd assume that he's doing it by just hitting monster home runs all the time. But he's not leading
Yeah.
the league in home runs.
No, this guy, Cal Raleigh in okay, so fun fact about him. He's a catcher for Seattle, and they refer to him, his nickname is Big Dumper. And it's just it's reason number 1,000,008 that I love baseball is
Yeah.
weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, it's Big Dumper, plays for Seattle, kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But Aaron Judge right now, he's carrying the Yankees. It seems that
yeah,
way. Well, I mean him and Max Fried, who just
yeah.
keeps
And Goldschmidt too was hitting like
yeah.
360
Yeah,
for
which
him.
is crazy. But just is this something you see as sustainable? I mean, I always think when guys start off the season and they're batting this high that like, oh yeah, like this is those not named Arraez, right? That
Yeah,
there usually isn't a chance for someone to finish at 400. But is this something that you see as a realistic possibility, or let's talk about it in June and we'll see what happens then?
honestly, let's talk about this in like September if
Okay.
he's lurking. Because I remember as a kid, Tony Gwynn in the strike year, which was 94, he when the strikes officially hit, he was hitting like 394 in August.
Hmm.
And like that's the closest I've ever seen in my lifetime with somebody lurking at 400. And like Tony Gwynn's the best hitter I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Sorry, him and Barry Bonds, respectfully. Like,
Yeah, it's
um,
kind of crazy when
yeah,
you think about it. Their ability to be able to do that, and most people think like, oh, hitting a ball 4 times out of 10, like makes you one of the best players to ever walk on the planet, which is just
sure.
insane. So, uh,
Uh,
really cool.
the only other thing I do want to shout out,
Hmm.
Mike Trout having the most Kyle Schwarber season of all time right now.
Hmm.
Uh, 9 homers, hitting a buck 70, baby.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. That's the Kyle Schwarber experience right there. And Mike Trout's finally doing it. I love to see it.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be able to say this as well as you're going to be able to put it into words, but can we talk about Jacob Wilson from the Athletics real quick?
Oh yeah,
Just
yeah.
what he's done so far, and I read it the other day, and I know I can't put it back into words because I don't want to copy what someone else said about it. But the way this guy's playing right now, hitting for average, and I just pulled it up now, he's at 321. His on base percentage is almost 800, and like what he's been able to do with not striking out, putting the ball in play and getting on base has been like he's got a chance to do something very special this year, especially with the Athletics. So I wanted to kind of get your opinion on it. If and I know this is something that's kind of new that they've been talking about this year with him, but he's been really really solid this year so far. I mean, 109 at bats. He struck out 6 times. He's had 2 walks. I mean, the 35 hits kind of speaks for itself, but he's been putting the ball in play and getting on base like that.
That was kind of his thing. So like last year, he had probably I think around roughly like 100 plate appearances.
Hmm.
I want to say, and kind of did the same thing. Like struck out 10 times. Like he wasn't hitting for this kind of average. But like the dude can play. Like whether he can sustain this or not, who's to really know? I mean, I
Right.
think he was drafted in 2023 in the first round, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And so, Oakland like has kind of sucked for a while. So like here it's their way of like, they've been drafting pretty high draft picks and like hopefully it's starting to pan out. And they also play in this weird minor league park in Sacramento, which means like guys are just hitting dingers left and right because
Yeah.
like again, it's a minor league ballpark. So
The other
yeah,
thing is too, they're lurking right now. Like they're 1 game over 500 right now, and they're one and a half
it's
games out of the
hilarious.
league. Like it's really cool, man. Like that's awesome to see. It really is. Um, One thing I wanted to mention as well, unless there was anything else you wanted to cover on him at all. Uh,
That's pretty much it.
Speaking, I mean, we started with Aaron Judge, kind of moved on to him, but now we're going to move on to Yamamoto. And like this guy has just been killing it with ERA this year. I know we've been sharing Instagram posts back and forth, but like, what is going on, man? Because the rest of the Dodgers don't seem to be on board with this. Their starting pitching, but he is just going out there, and has he figured it out? Is that it?
Yeah, I think that he had a full year under in the league last year, and he's getting a lot of swings and misses on guys. Like he's throwing that curveball, and he's dude, it's wild to watch. And the thing is like what's funny is he's not getting run support in his starts. Like that's like he's 3-2, like
Yeah,
with an ERA of 1.06, I think. Yeah, that tells me you're not getting runs. Like he's let up 4 earned runs so far in 34 innings, and the man has lost 2 games,
yeah,
which tells me that like you are not getting dick for run support in your starts.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of
So
crazy, man, when you think about it. It's especially when, and then if you go ahead and take it one step further and say he's playing for the Dodgers, you're kind of scratching your head like, wait, what? He's not getting run support?
there should be no reasons he doesn't get run support from
Yeah,
like that lineup. But yeah, here we are.
yeah.
Yeah. So the Dodgers are kind of weird right now, man. Like I think everybody just assumed that they were gonna like break the all-time wins record out, which is I think is like 116.
Yeah.
And like respectfully, they can't stay healthy. And they're a lineup that like weirdly is kind of a little bit older if you're like not paying attention to it.
Hmm.
Like Freddie Freeman's kind of getting older, Mookie Betts is getting a little bit older. Like they have a bunch of dudes that are kind of in their 30s, and you're like, so
These aren't
we'll
those young
see.
gunners out there anymore.
Yeah. And
Uh,
like the Dodgers have a minor league system, but like respectfully, the guys they've called up, like they're not really producing. So
well, that puts them in a little bit of a pickle as well. But who knows? Maybe like last year again, they were dealing with a ton of injuries. They ended up figuring it out.
yeah.
You know. Moving on here. So Detroit, they're tops in the AL right now. Which like, could you imagine?
Hot, hot diggity.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you know he's celebrating. You can hear him yelling already.
Yeah.
But
Bigger. Yeah.
we were looking at it the other day. The 4 starters they have are under 3 ERA, which is just really, really solid right now. And it's not like they're barely under 3. They're a
Yeah.
ways under there,
Sure are.
which is good. But little question for you: Do you know the last time the Tigers led the AL? What year that was?
You're talking about like for best record.
Best record, yeah.
So I thought this through, and originally I had 3 guesses, and I'm gonna actually whittle that down because I seem to remember the 2012 team being decent, but not like gangbusters good. I remember the 2013 team that lost to the Sox in the ALCS.
Hmm.
They were really good, but the Red Sox actually, if I remember correctly, had the best record in the league that year. Um, which I think puts me to those like weird 80s teams. And I want to say it's sorry, let me just do I'm just kind of looking through it in my brain real quick.
Hmm.
84, they won the World Series, and I know they won 100 games that year. I think they won like 104 that year, if I'm not mistaken. Something tells me that's not right though, and I feel like there was a couple years after where they were still really fucking good, but they couldn't win the World Series.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna say it's 84, but I feel like if you told me it was like 87, I'd be like, okay, that kind of tracks.
It
I'm
was
gonna say
it
84.
was 84, man, and that was
Was it?
yeah. So I my dad asked me this question, and I shouted out right away. I knew what it was just because I was guessing, right? But
Yeah.
that's the year they won the World Series, so I just assumed in my head like that's got to be the year, right? That they were really dominant. And he was. I can count on one hand the amount of times I've thrown a statistic out, and he's been really surprised. He was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
surprised today, so it was yeah, it was good. But
That was
they're
84?
yeah, and
Okay.
I'll tell you, he's having a ton of fun watching them this year. So
Yeah.
it's good, man. Good for them. Glad they're doing well. And I think they had the right momentum last year to push forward on this. They made some low key good moves in the offseason in terms of signing free agents. And I feel like they're, I don't know. I see it too often in football where like you anger someone, like the whole Brandon Ayuk situation, right? He gets pissed off. They finally end up paying him, and then he got hurt. But like it's like you don't play that well that next season, right? Because you spent all that
Yeah.
time being stressed about it. Dude, they went out and paid Scooball. I think he could have gotten more money, but they decided to like work his contract a little bit, and seems like he's doing all right this year, right? He's not pitching like he was last year, but like I don't hear him complaining in the press and stuff like that. I don't hear any of that. So like,
Well, School's also like he's kind of the victim again of like we were talking about the Yamamoto. Like he's not getting run support. He's let
yeah,
up 9 earned runs in 34 innings,
yeah,
and he's 3-2 with an ERA of 2.3. Like again, that tells me that you're not getting run support. Like,
yeah.
which like kind of makes sense if you look at Detroit's lineup. Like, respectfully, that's not the Dodgers lineup. Like,
No,
I'm
no, 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 no.
speaking
Of
out of
course.
turn here. Like, Glaber Torres is not the guy you're gonna like lean on. Again, respectfully, but like the fact that that's how good Scooble is that like he can like he's just picking up right where he left off last year.
Yeah.
So
And those guys, those pitchers, right? Like they're covering up deficiencies by doing that within that lineup, which is a good thing, right? Like they're able to
yeah,
when you have players that are good, they try to cover more than just their responsibility. And if they go out there and have really good starts and really good showings, guess what? It makes the hitters not have to feel like they got to go out there and hit 10 home runs to win the game. Right? So it really
really, yeah,
it's
really for the
good.
Tigers right now. Casey Mize is I think he's like 4-1. He's really this is like his like finally like this could be his like breakout season for him, and I love to see that. Like
Yeah.
so
It's good to see them in there. Now I want to take a moment. Did I not tell you my Braves would be back? Did I
yeah,
not say
no,
it, right? Like I knew they'd be doing better. They're only 2 games back from the Phillies now. Like it just they're 8-2 over their last 10. I love it, dude. I love it. And I don't think there was a lot of people out there doubting them big time because that's a team you probably don't want to doubt. They have a good enough lineup that you're like, all right, this team should make the playoffs. They didn't get off to a good start, but they had a good enough team where they could rebound. Meanwhile, the Rockies, right? I just
let's talk about it.
I want to
I
give you the floor
inadvertently
on
wore
this.
Colorado purple today, and I could not be happier to talk about this subject. I could not be happier.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so Colorado right now is 4-24 in their first 28 games, which I to quick backstory. I weirdly love records of futility. It really just checks boxes for me that like shouldn't. And I know that kind of makes me a weirdo and a bit of a masochist, but like I just sometimes really love bad baseball. And I fell in love with this 20 years ago with the Tigers when that year they threatened the all time. I think they actually got the record based on 162 games. And it was just like beautiful to watch. Like I loved it so much. And like didn't have access to all the games, but like just like when I could find a Tigers game, man, they were just awful. And that's where my love of really bad baseball has started. And over the years, there have been some teams. 2012 Houston Astros were pretty goddamn bad. And last year at the White Sox, like we talked about on the show pretty regularly, how bad they were
Yeah.
and how delighted I was by that. Not because I hate the White Sox, I don't, but just like I like futility records. They're
Bad
funny to do.
baseball. Yeah.
Bad baseball, sometimes beautiful.
Yeah.
And Colorado right now is on pace to only win 30 games this year. Out of 162, that would
Could you?
obliterate the White Sox record last year of 121 games lost. Obliterate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just absolutely brutal.
They're so bad. It's oh man. And I've taken it so we're like all because I have MLB TV, I'll randomly tune into Rockies games just for fun. Because I'm a masochist when it comes to this stuff.
I
Like
guess so, man.
it's so good.
A glutton for
It's so
punishment,
good.
I guess.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
like
man.
their lineup right now, I have to baseball reference every single player in that lineup minus Kyle Farmer.
Yeah.
And most of these dudes I've never heard of.
My goodness. It's yeah, it's
Yeah.
I have no words for it, man. It's just I like I feel bad for the fans because like they should put out a better product than that. I just
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
their owner bitches a lot about like having a salary cap to be competitive, and I'm like, respectfully, nobody still wants to come to Colorado. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, all right. I always forget Chris Bryant's on this team.
Yeah, which is I don't know. Chris Bryant, I he's funny, right? Like he went to the same high school in Vegas, I think that Greg Maddox and then went to, and
Sure,
he got pranked by Greg Maddox one time. I don't know if you ever saw that. Did
I did. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my god, it
yeah.
was so rich and good. It was epic. Maddox dressed up as a fat cameraman and went out there and was hurling balls, and he's like, "Holy cow! Like this guy's throwing strikes. Like he's putting a little bit of mustard on it and stuff." And he comes out and gives him the bat. He's like, "You mind signing that for me?" And he's like, "Yeah. Who do you want me to sign it to?" He's like, "Yeah, sign it to Greg Maddox." And he was like, "Oh my god, dude! I was just talking about you. It's such a good. Oh, it is an amazing video if you get a chance to watch it, guys." Uh,
I what I real quick, what I do appreciate with Colorado, I just want to give you like a little snapshot on how bad they are.
yeah.
Their starting rotation this year, um, the starter with the lowest ERA has an ERA of 4.75 in Ryan Feltner.
That's legit.
Um, yeah, their starting rotation is a combined 2-17 right now.
Man, they
God
are.
bless. God bless. Oh boy. If this keeps up, I'm telling you, what a summer this is going to be.
Hey,
What
like
a
you said,
summer.
let's talk in June. Yeah, it's
Honestly, let's talk at the middle of May if this keeps up. Like,
yeah.
hey,
Getting ready
I'm
for
officially on Rocky's watch, man.
yeah.
I'm in it.
Let's get
I'm in
ready
it.
for spring training next year.
Yeah.
So
I'm doing the people a favor by watching these games so you don't have to.
yeah. Look,
Yeah.
you're doing God's work right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Really, I'm boots on the ground, man. I'm boots on the ground.
oh man. All right. Anything
Yeah.
else you want to mention in baseball before we move on to NFL draft stuff?
No, just I mean Sox kind of just doing Sox things,
Hmm.
They're game and a half out of first going into May. They've played all right. Garrett Crochet, man, it's just been fucking lights out for us.
Mm-hmm.
Again, suffers kind of the same thing, doesn't get a lot of run support, but I'm used to that with Red Sox aces over the years, so that's kind of nothing new. In fact, I kind of appreciate the consistency, which makes me happy. But yeah, so just kind of following the Sox like I do. Uh, and again, shout out Colorado Rockies. Just keep being bad, please,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. Keep them going like that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely a good thing. Yeah, any passing words you want to send over to Uncle Roger's way or
yeah. No, I'd like to tell Uncle Roger. I think I'm going to see him this summer, which is going to be a real treat.
yeah.
So I'll tell him this in person. So I have no. Let's start there.
Yeah.
But I keep waiting on this manual on how to crush us in fantasy football.
Yep.
I keep waiting for that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Also, fuck the Yankees, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's hard at work on that manual. So,
I bet.
yeah.
I bet he's burning the midnight oil doing that. Yeah, and
uh,
I hope that I can read it this summer.
yeah.
You know,
Maybe when we get together we can. So,
yeah,
uh
yeah.
shares bless us with some of that knowledge from up high, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how I won a championship without him last year. I just
Yeah.
don't know how I did it.
Yeah, got to change things up this year. So,
Yeah, yeah.
all
I'm just
right.
gonna let. Honestly, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna let Uncle Roger draft my team. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
mail it in. I'm gonna let him draft my
yeah,
team in the same league.
yeah.
So,
I might as well just give him my money now. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, we know we're not giving it to Mr. Eighth Place. So,
No, no, not that guy. Not
oh
that
man.
guy.
Okay. All right. So, speaking, the NFL draft happened this past weekend. Very interesting draft, but unfortunately, a lot of the news was polarizing. To be honest, but I want to ask you first, and I want you to try to be as unbiased as you can, but I know it's going to be difficult. What teams do you think were the most improved by the draft?
I mean, we improved just as a guy. We drafted a guy that said, and I quote, "I will die for Drake May." Fucking, I've never wanted a lineman jersey so bad in my life, and I kind of want one. I kind of want one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I will die for
I keep
Drake.
staring at it, thinking about pulling the trigger, and I know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to be up at like 2 a.m. one weekend, and I'm going to be like, and respectfully, I'll have taken too many edibles. I'm like, you know what? This is the best idea I've ever had.
You
And
gotta do it,
oh,
right?
can't wait.
Do I order
Cannot wait.
do I order the donuts or the jersey? Both.
If I lived in Providence, it would be both.
Both.
It
Yeah.
would be both.
Gotta do both.
So
Yeah, so the Patriots, they definitely improved when you look at what they were able to add, and I mean I think they're Will Campbell. Regardless, I know they have him saying, "Well, short arms, this and that." Dude, the guy is a monster, an
yeah,
absolute monster. So I can't wait to see him. The guy I'm most excited about that you guys got, in my opinion, is Travion Henderson. And listen,
me too.
I don't.
That's
I
the other name I was going to mention.
I don't think he's going to be an every down back, but this is the good news. He doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to be. You guys have Ramondre Stevenson there. You've got you've got Antonio Gibson there, who I've seen flashes of him when he was in Washington. I didn't really care for much that he's done in New England, but he's been all right. But bringing Henderson into this running back room, they are going to compete. And the other thing that I really like is by them drafting Kyle Williams. I think
That's what I wanted to talk
yeah,
about.
dude, they brought
I'm,
Stephon Diggs into the room.
yeah,
They draft him. They're basically putting these receivers that they drafted last year, Jalen Polk and these guys, saying, "Oh yeah, okay, you guys think you're good? Well, let's see how good you actually are when you stack up against some of these guys." Because
yeah,
Diggs is, I mean, an arguable Hall of Famer when you look at his
yeah.
statistics. I mean, he's had some really good years uh, for multiple teams at this point, but really interesting to see the direction they're going to go. Getting Jared Wilson at center. I know they already ended up getting, who was it, Bradbury, that they signed from Minnesota.
Yeah.
But this guy's going to find playing time on this line somewhere. He's going to
Yeah.
fit in there somewhere. He doesn't need to be at center, but he provides a great utility piece. And New England, I feel like in the years that they were really good, they had guys that thrived at multiple positions along the offensive line. Um,
Right.
and this is a guy that I really think is a good plug and play in multiple places. But
I don't think like the Patriots are going to make the playoffs this year.
I don't
I
think they need
know
to.
we all have.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think we have high expectations for that, but I think that we could easily win 6 to 7 games this year.
this is what I'm going to tell you. I think the Patriots, and I hope you don't get offended by this, but I see the Patriots in a very similar boat as the Giants right now. Now, the Giants, I think, were a worse team last year, but this is what I will say is that the with the moves that the Giants made, I think they're going to make things very difficult for teams, especially on defense, having to deal with Thibodeau, Carter, Brian Burns on that defense. That is, dude, that's no joke, man.
I
No
was
joke.
so pissed that they took Carter. I knew they were going to, but
Yeah,
I was like, maybe they'll Giants will do dumb things, and they did dumb things at the end of the first round. We'll talk about that in a minute.
yeah,
But like, man, when they drafted Abdul Carter, I was like, God damn it!
yeah, yep.
I don't know offensively how good they're going to be. Although they did draft that kid from Arizona State, Scattaboo.
Yeah, which I think they just want to be able to say his name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
like it's
sure,
a punchline, but I'll tell you, he's a beast. Like
yeah.
that dude's
That
scary.
game and that playoff game against Texas, he was a monster in that
Yeah.
game.
I
Um,
think they're going to play teams tough, just like New England. And listen, with
yeah,
Vrabel there, he's coming in. He's going to try to change the mindset, in with out with the old, in with the new, and like the expectations are going up, man. I
he also had 11 draft picks too. So
Yeah.
I think that like just by sheer numbers, like I think some of these picks are gonna hit, and like
Well, dude, that means a fifth
so
of your team, a
yeah,
fifth of your team is draft picks.
and I think there's gonna be some growing pains.
Yeah.
I do like I said, I think I think we're gonna be competitive against teams this year. I
Mhm.
don't think we're gonna win a lot of games, but again, I would settle for like 6 games.
Yeah.
maybe like one more year of a kind of a high draft pick, and then I think really we'll see. So,
Yeah, it's going to be
uh,
interesting. Well, you were going to
can I?
mention the Giants at the end of the first round.
Yeah. So they traded back into the first round at the end to take Jackson Dart. Like,
Oh,
can we? Jesus Christ! Like they gave like they're just like, hey, they gave the Rams more first round picks, and it's like, God damn it! Like, yeah, that's just the most like the Giants. Like, it's the classic Giants: 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Like,
yeah. I
so
and I mean we're going to get into it at the end here when we talk about it because I feel like it's going to dominate the that this segment of the NFL. But like I don't mind the pick of Jackson Dart. I really don't. I think Brian Dayball's worked with different guys before that he's figured out how to be able to get the most out of these guys. Right. I just I'm not completely sold on him, but I think he could. I think they could mold him into being a good NFL quarterback, and I think it is going to be not long into the season before you see him in a game.
I hope they don't. You don't see him. Like,
I
I
was
think
hoping so
that
too,
needs some
but
like, yeah,
I don't know, man.
yeah.
I don't know. We've seen crazier things where you're like, hey, please don't put this guy out there, but you know somehow they're gonna end up out there. They tried to do some stuff to help their line, but I mean they just drafted one guard, the Embo out of Purdue, who's good, but like
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they need more. We'll see. The guys that they brought in free agency on the line are like two of the worst guards statistically in the entire league.
Yeah.
Um, and teams were very happy to be able to get rid of them. Kind of curious, like the biggest flash at the beginning of the draft, obviously after Cam Ward goes, who I think Cam Ward could be legit. I really do. Um,
I think he's. I disagree a little bit, but like
mm,
I think like Tennessee really didn't have a choice. Nobody was going to trade up. This isn't a draft that like there were 2 players in this draft that everybody wanted: Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter,
yeah,
and like respectfully, they didn't need either of those dudes. Like, and
well,
so they had to take a quarterback, and like,
I just think the quarterback was the need for them, and because they didn't get one in free agency, I respect what
yeah,
they did and not and Callahan not going and saying like let's throw Sam Darnold money, let's throw Geno Smith money, let's trade for Kirk Cousins, or let's sign Aaron Rodgers. I'm glad they didn't do that because
yeah,
that sets their franchise back a few years. I think, in my
yeah.
opinion, with this they're drafting a guy one overall, okay, but if he fails, they could draft a new quarterback next year, right?
They won't next year,
They
which is
won't.
too bad because next year is a better class of
They
quarterbacks.
won't. But
Again.
just remember, what was it? 2 years ago, Will Levis ended up
Yeah,
like they drafted him, mayonnaise guy, right? I just
yeah,
think they've done enough on offense, and Tennessee showed me enough last year for me to feel like they could be okay this year. Not great,
sure.
but they could be
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. The AFC South, like respectfully, I know your Colts play in that division. Is that division is kind of ass. Like,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
and
we'll get to
I know you hate hearing that, but
listen. We're gonna get to the Colts in a second on that and stuff. But before we get there, I needed to ask you because it was kind of a big deal at the beginning with Travis Hunter, the trade for Travis Hunter there. So
actually, real quick before I forget about this, can I just bitch for 30 seconds about something?
yeah, sure.
Fucking Howie Roseman did it again.
Yeah, he
He
did
did it again.
again.
God damn it. Why? He trade he traded up one. They flipped with Kansas City
Yep.
for a 3rd round pick and then got Gian Campbell.
Yeah.
God damn it. Like,
Dude, they just
why
keep.
do we keep doing
Yeah,
this?
I don't know, dude. Every time he calls, like they even have who is it? The Detroit GM that they show
Yeah,
like the Arizona room and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's pranking us" because the Detroit GM always pranks everybody, right? Like
yeah.
he calls everyone and he's like hanging up or offering them ridiculous stuff or it's super funny. Well, Howie Roseman calls. It's like, why are these guys picking up? And the phone call with Campbell was like, he's like, yeah, we wanted you, like we were coming for you and
Yeah.
stuff. And he's like, awesome, like he's elated to walk into that defense, dude.
Also, they drafted in the 2nd round. They drafted a safety out of Texas. His name was Andrew Makuba.
Yeah,
Dude is a hitter.
yeah,
Like,
yep.
dude, just lays the stick.
And which
And I'm like,
means they've
cool.
got a
Like,
very, very young secondary, but I think Makuba could do a great job filling in for CJ Gardner Johnson, who's gone
yeah,
now from there. So I don't know, man. They figure it out again.
we did it again.
Yep,
God damn it, they did it again.
figure it
Sorry,
out again.
just wanted to bitch about that because I've been thinking about that since Thursday,
Yeah,
and it just makes me so goddamn angry.
yeah.
We can
It's
now talk about Travis Hunter.
yeah.
I feel a lot better.
So I may be one of the few people that feel this way, and I know I like it's just a feeling. I could be wrong about it. I it's not that I don't like the place that he went. It's that I don't think it's sustainable to play at that level. He's never played receiver only, right? Like it's he
Yeah,
wants to play both sides of the ball, but being a receiver in the NFL. You look at the guys that do it and do it very well, right? Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase, right? Tyreek Hill was in that category too. You could even take guys like Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua, all of these guys. They are doctors and perfecters of their craft.
yeah,
That's you lose some of that when you need to go and play the other side of the ball because you need to know that piece. I'm not going to pretend for a second that Justin Jefferson doesn't know about defensive backs, right? Or Jamar Chase doesn't understand what it's like to play defense. I'm not saying that. But when you need to know all of that stuff, and I know he says my whole life is ball and everything, like there's going to be some drop off somewhere.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
like the comparisons to Otani. Do you know why? Because Otani's already done it. And he's shown that he can do it.
But
You've done it at
my
Colorado, man. Like not
my
at
pushback to that
Alabama.
is like my pushback though is that when Otani came to the league, everybody kind of said the same thing about him. Like you can't do both.
But
Like,
he's
oh,
done
you
it now.
played. Yeah, but that's the thing is like, oh, you did it in Japan, where like respectfully the competition isn't as great, and it's like, yeah, but like he still did it and like at a high level. Um, so I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, and because nobody's ever really done this before,
Mhm.
and like I like to say this often, trailblazers are often misunderstood, and like if anybody's gonna do it, he's athletic enough. I think they're gonna let him try it.
Yeah.
Like, also shout out Travis Hunter. I forgot. Peyton Manning used to have the biggest forehead I've ever seen in my life. Travis Hunter, new king, baby.
Yeah.
Like,
Which is crazy because he's six
because
feet
Manning
tall.
had a huge
Yeah,
forehead.
he's listed at 6 feet tall. 5 feet of that might be below the chin, right? Like
Oh, yeah,
it's
it has to
it's
be. It
wild.
has to be.
He listen. I think he was outstanding in college. I'm not trying to boo-hoo him and stuff, but I just
Yeah.
if it doesn't work out, I'm not gonna be super shocked. And it just for
I
me,
think
I don't. I think he could have gone to a better team, and I know Jacksonville gave up to get him. I get that, but I'm not sure if Jacksonville was a Travis Hunter away from being competitive.
but that's actually kind of leads into my point is like res- I'm gonna say something that I don't think is really that hot of a take, but like I don't think Travis Lawrence is good.
Trevor Lawrence, you mean?
Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, yeah, Trevor Lawrence. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Uh, I don't think he's good, and like they just keep throwing weapons around him, and like respectfully, that's fine. But like if you kind of have a shitty quarterback, like you can still get your numbers. Shout out Brian Thomas last year, winning me fantasy. Like,
Can I push back on that real quick with something?
sure,
So a lot of people said the same thing about Baker, right? But Liam Cohen really turned Baker around in Tampa Bay and helped him out a lot. And Baker had a ton of success. Now, granted, he had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, K. Dot in there, right? Like Rashad White wasn't a bad running back. Bucky Irving helped out last year. He had a really good
yeah.
line. All of this stuff. I get that. But like, if Liam Cohen goes in there and is able to turn things around, I mean,
I,
I
I
could be a
guess
believer, but
sure.
this is the problem when I look at it, and I think maybe you could tell me I'm wrong, but I think this is kind of where you may be too. Is if I look at like, okay, who are the top 12 quarterbacks in the league? Why am I thinking top 12 or top 14? Because those are mostly how many playoff teams that we have, right?
Yeah, we
if
have
I
14 playoff teams every year.
yeah,
Yep.
so if I look at that now and take even the top 14, that's almost half of the league, right?
Sure.
I don't think he's in there.
Oh, not at all.
I and
He's such a,
that's the issue for me is he going to
yeah.
beat the other guys? I think he's playing in a very difficult conference with some very good quarterbacks,
Yeah.
and I like he's got to overcome a lot to be able to do that, to make it to that next level.
Here's my measuring stick. It if I'm
Oh, you're
down
taking it out on
four,
camera?
yeah, I quit now.
Wow.
If I'm down four with 2 minutes left and I'm starting at my own 15-yard line,
Hmm.
I don't trust that he's going to get me a touchdown. I don't trust that.
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of like the measuring. And like, I know that's kind of a weird measuring stick to have, but like most guys in the league, I could like, okay, let's take Baker, for example. Baker, I could trust like 70% of the time that he'll make that drive and get you the points.
Yeah.
I don't think Trevor Lawrence, I think it's like 20% of the time he's getting you points. And like something has to really break his way.
Yeah.
Like he's not doing it just on sheer talent, respectfully.
I think you're probably spot on with that, man. It's I
Yeah.
don't know. They
Also,
gave up a lot to get him, so I don't know, man.
I honestly kind of the thing that I'm going to look forward to this season is like if Jacksonville's really terrible, like Cleveland has now set themselves up for like they get that pick and this is a kind of a much better quarterback draft in this upcoming draft. And yeah.
No, we're gonna
So
touch on that in a second here. I do like some of the other picks that Jacksonville made, like Kaiser out of Notre Dame. I think he's a good linebacker. I think he was in the fourth round. He slid a little bit, but I think he's going to be good for them. Ransaw, he's not obviously Travis Hunter, but he's going to be a comparable corner, or could be
yeah.
pretty well for them. And just looking at it, like he's a little bit undersized as well. So I want to know what Jacksonville's going to do to match up against some of these big receivers, because you look at what Houston did, and this is kind of, you talk about a measuring stick. They ended up drafting Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State, first one, right? Who's a
Yeah.
very Nico Collins esque type receiver, right? 6'4, 215 pounds, big dude. How is a guy that's 5'11 already giving up 5 inches on this dude? How are they going to
Yeah.
do it, man? Like, I don't know. You got to be very, very good to be able to beat those teams. And this is a team you're going to have to play twice this year, twice. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like that division makes me giggle a little bit. I know. I
Yeah.
just want to mention about Indy real quick because I told you
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
I mentioned on a previous one that I was upset about Warren. I'm not that upset anymore. Like listen, it's my big thing, and the reason I didn't want them to draft him is not because I don't like him or I don't think he's a good player. I think he's a great like Swiss Army knife to be able to have on your team. I think he provides dynamic part to your offense that maybe some other guys don't. This was a great tight end draft class that came out, but I just don't feel like Indy is a tight end away from being competitive. And
No.
this is the frustrating piece is if I look at some of the guys that went around him, that's the frustrating part to me. Is I feel
Yeah.
like they could have waited on tight end into the second round and got some of these other guys, but they could have gone D tackle, they could have gone edge rusher, they could have gone guard or cornerback or something like that, right? But instead now I've got to focus at, and I'm looking at Denver, who has Patrick Surtain, reigning defensive player of the year, and they just add Barron to that defense, which they also added other pieces in the offseason from San Francisco, right? And I'm looking at it now and I'm like, oh, well, we could have had that. Or last
Yeah.
year we could have drafted Cooper DeJean or Kenyon Mitchell, right? Like, and
Yeah.
I'm just seeing that and I'm like, okay, like I understand the value pick, but like, are those picks going to put you over the edge or give you that much? Because you need to be twice as good as them to get half of what they have, to catch on to teams like Kansas City, Baltimore, Buffalo. You need to be twice as good to be able to bridge that gap. And Indy right now is not doing that. Does he
I,
give them a
I,
playmaker? Yes, but it's just not enough that I'm like,
right.
oh, this guy's a world beater.
I will say things that the Colts did that were like kind of intriguing. They did take Riley Leonard, who's Notre Dame's quarterback, in the 6th round.
Yeah.
and I'm not saying he's gonna play right away, but like, dude won in college, like, and I think he's gonna get time to sit. But like, I wouldn't be shocked if they carry three QBs this year, and Leonard's the third quarterback.
Yeah, yeah, and I wouldn't be upset about that. Man, I see him. I I thought AJ McCarron was going to have a better pro career coming out of
I
Alabama.
think we all did back
I
in the
I
day.
I
Yeah,
really thought so. Now he wasn't like like number one pick in the draft that you thought like, oh, this guy's going to do it. But like, I really thought like, okay, a guy that led a team with a bunch of stars like that, like he could figure out a way to do it. He did all right. He wasn't great, but he did all right. I think Leonard can have a better career than that. Uh,
yeah,
if you give him the weapons around him to be able to be successful. And
sure.
I don't know, man. I don't think I think Indy is three bad Anthony Richardson games away from trying to trade him.
Yeah, you're three bad games away from watching Daniel Jones for a season at quarterback, and that
Listen, I
I'm
don't.
gonna be honest with you. If that's the case, I'm gonna probably do wellness checks on you pretty frequently on Sundays,
Yeah.
like just to make sure you're okay, man. Like, yeah, yeah.
Let's talk about another team. One that I want to mention because I think it was very impressive what they were able to do, and I feel like there's a lot of teams that they talked about after the draft, like which I hate by the way. Like, oh, this team had a really good draft. Dude, we don't know until any of these guys play and hit the field. But what I do know, and what I've seen so far of Emeka Egbuka, like he was a stud at Ohio State, an
It
absolute stud.
was.
And him going to Tampa Bay, I feel like the rich got richer.
That kind of confused me a little bit because like it wasn't a need for them, but like actually when I think it through, like Godwin's coming back from that kind of horrific injury.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess that kind of like I'm kind of talking myself through this and like yeah, it kind of makes sense.
I think
Like
Godwin's going to be okay. And I think Evans, even though he's getting older, he still seems to he's still going to get his 1,000 yards again. I think, right?
yeah,
But adding him to that offense, even with Jalen McMillan there, I feel like you can go four wide and just be like, all right, Baker, take your pick, bud. Like
they
this
took
is
a
a
couple of
big target.
they took a couple of corners too, in Ben Morrison and Jacob Parrish, and they're both like they're going to provide some really much needed depth at that
Oh, they
position.
were awful through the air last year. I
Yeah, they
think they
were
were like
buns at that
26th,
position.
27th in the league. It was
Yeah.
bad. Really bad. Um anyone else that you saw that you were like, "Ah, I really like these picks."
I kind of weirdly like. I think it was Seattle that took Jalen Milrow.
Yeah,
Like I think they took and I weirdly liked that pick.
me too.
I know he's coming into a team that like doesn't have a lot of weapons, but like if you're kind of looking for a quarterback, like you could do a lot worse. Like
He's going to be used in goal line packages. I'll tell you that.
yeah,
Like I think he
yep.
could be better than people think, and I think he's pretty talented. Um, were there any head scratchers for you, like in the first round specifically? Because I have one that really stands out, but I just
It's Atlanta trading back into the first round. Is that the one you were going to talk about? I
No,
hope so.
no, no, but it's the same division. So I don't know. For me, I just what
Yeah,
about
no,
what about
Atlanta.
Atlanta?
They I can't. They traded back in for James Pierce.
Hmm.
I misspoke earlier with the Giants trading back up with the Rams. It was Atlanta
Yeah,
trading up with the
okay.
Rams. And
Yep.
like you're telling me that the Rams get an extra first round pick in Atlanta, who's usually ass. Like, yeah, and it's so funny too because like Atlanta, their first pick was Jalen Walker, who is a stud of a linebacker, played in Georgia, is gonna play for his home team. Like, dude was good. You're like, oh man, Atlanta weirdly nailed the first round pick for once.
Yeah.
How about that? And then they just did Atlanta things again, and you're like, God damn it.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see what your team is.
So this is I don't know. This guy could end up being a beast, and then I'd feel bad. But I one of the things I hate the most is lack of effort. And when I see that,
Sure.
it really just irks me. And seeing someone getting rewarded for not putting forward a solid amount of effort, regardless of how coaches boast them or any of that stuff, it just really bugs me. Because I look at when I see a guy play and I'm like, oh, this guy didn't run this route fully, or he wasn't blocking because he wasn't getting the ball. Like, right, like they just give up on the plays. That really
Right.
bugs me a lot. McMillan from Arizona getting drafted by Carolina with the 8th overall pick, I think was a total Carolina thing to do. And I just think there was so many other directions they could have gone there. They
I
could have
agree.
gone defense. They could. There was edge rushers, plenty of people. But now they're going to dump money into this guy. And I listen. I'm not upset at the guy, right? Like what I am upset about is like this guy's get it. It shows kids coming through the system that you can take plays off and still get drafted in the top 10.
Yeah.
Where I'm looking at the rest of these guys and I don't see Travis Hunter taking plays off. I don't see Carter taking plays off. Will Campbell's not taking plays off. Mason Graham's not taking plays off. Genty, I don't think that dude's ever taken a play off. Like, right? Like it just is really bothersome to me. And I just think Carolina like could have gone a different direction. If the guy that you wanted wasn't there, trade back and scoop up more picks. Like there was plenty of people that would have traded with them right there. They could have moved back and gotten Walker out of Georgia, right? Like and pinned out Atlanta from getting their rusher, right? Like it just I don't know. To me, it was really frustrating, and I'm thinking to myself like, if this dude does the same thing in the NFL, it's going to further crush Bryce Young.
Yeah.
And that is, I felt like Bryce Young had a good year last year. To do this is like to go and get him another weapon. But if this guy's not really like kind of has the same attitude like Anthony Richardson, like what ends up happening there? You know,
Yeah.
uh, he's a freak, man. Like he's got a lot
Yeah.
of ability, same as Anthony Richardson. He's a big-bodied guy that can run away from people. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not pushing my chips in on him. I'm not
Yeah. Me
pushing my
either.
chips in on him. And a guy like that you I see it as like a mental weakness almost, right? Guys in the NFL, they're gonna break him down doing stuff like that. Fold him like a cardboard box. So
Right.
I don't know. For me, I didn't care for it. It
Yeah.
just it got to me. So any other picks that you saw that you were really hyped on or anything like that?
No, that's really it. Shout out Baltimore and Pittsburgh having just both doing Baltimore and Pittsburgh things,
Yep.
loading up on solid defensive and offensive dudes in the trenches. Like again, they just keep nailing those picks. And especially Baltimore. Baltimore got the safety.
Yes, I was gonna mention that, dude. I'm so glad you
Uh
did. Really, really
I think
good.
it's his first name's Malachi. Yeah,
Yeah,
Malachi
Malachi
Stark.
Starks, but then yeah, it just I think he's gonna be an awesome addition to that defense. Really,
You could play him and Kyle Hamilton at the same time. Great.
yeah,
Like, great. Like, it's cool. That defense somehow got better. Great.
yeah,
Like,
yep, yeah,
yeah. No, that's the most Ravens pick in the first round you could ask for.
yeah,
Is another great safety that fell that far because teams didn't need a safety. And you're like, all right, well, we have a good one. How about we just have two really good ones?
yeah.
That's fine. Like,
One thing I did want to mention, Green Bay drafting a wide receiver in the first round for like
so dumb. So dumb.
so like this is my thing on it. I kind of feel differently about it because I it was kind of a rub on Aaron Rodgers, and I think it's amazing to think that. But I think Golden's actually good.
I do too.
I just I think so I feel different about this probably than you do, but I feel like Christian Watson isn't that good. And when they drafted him 2 years
I
ago,
agree as
or
well.
3 years ago, I it was like really bothersome to me. Just because I was like, oh, this guy, and it wasn't because he came from a like not a big school or anything like that. I just didn't feel like he was good, and I felt like hyped him up big time. He scored a lot of touchdowns one season and didn't do anything since. And
Yeah.
for me, I just thought like, oh man, get Jaden Reed some help on this team, dude. Like they need some better receivers, and like all these dudes are saying like, oh yeah, we got great wide receivers, and it's like, yeah, but you guys aren't playing well right now. So like, you got to figure it out. What would you have rather seen them do?
I don't know. Get a lineman. Like,
That's
Jesus.
a total
Like,
Green
get
Bay
somebody.
move too.
Yeah, like get somebody to protect Jordan Love. I don't like, and like I'm gonna say a thing about that Green Bay wide receiver room. Like, I know everybody thinks they have all these like young dudes that can play. Like, respectfully, it's kind of like paint by numbers, and they all kind of seem like the same.
Yeah,
And
except
none
for
of them
Jade
do
Reed.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like everybody else, like kind of doesn't do anything remarkably well. Like Christian Watson is like hurt all the time. It seems like. Uh,
You got
yeah,
Dobbs,
man.
he's good too, but it just I don't know if he's very sporadic. A lot of these guys, and you hear about issues within that room. The
A
thing
lot of
is,
guys, a lot of the guys with Green Bay, like you just kind of forget that they're out there for like whole series.
yeah. Also, I will say, I think a lot of their deficiencies get covered up by Matt Lafleur. I think he's a
I
good.
agree.
I think he's a good coach, man, and they are able to figure stuff out. Josh Jacobs was a huge addition to that team last year. He rushed, and not a lot of people know this, but preseason I did a lot of research on terms of when the schedule came out. Like, okay, who are they facing? What defenses are they going against? He faced the hardest preseason ranked rushing defense in terms of a fantasy schedule for the entire season, and he was one of the best running backs in fantasy last year. You know,
Yeah,
it's Josh Jacobs is dude, and this is a guy that spent nights sleeping in a car. You know,
right.
like I got a ton of respect for him. That dude is a grinder. He works his butt off. I'm glad that they love him in Green Bay. But they need some help on the outside to take some pressure off of him because he could run better and get more yards if they didn't stack 10 in the box against him. You
Right.
know, yeah. Anything else you wanted to mention?
No, I feel like we're going to talk about Shador Sanders.
Yeah, let's chat about him. Just I want we don't have to spend super long on this, but just some we can go back and forth and see what you think on it.
I I I'm going to say a thing. I think that I don't think that this is his. I think some of this is his fault, but I think he just got a lot of bad advice from the people around him, including his dad. And what I mean by that, he didn't hire an agent. So like when all these stories came out, like an agent would like any good agent worth his weight would have just like squashed those stories immediately.
Yeah.
He didn't play the Senior Bowl and he didn't do the combine.
Yeah.
And like I think and again, ultimately he's the one that's making this decision. But like I think he just got a lot of bad advice from the people in his life that were like, "Oh, you're going to be a top 10 pick. You don't have to do these things." When actually like you weren't a top 10 pick and like you kind of needed to do those things to like show scouts, "Hey, I can actually play."
I can do these
I
things,
think the
right?
interview thing is bullshit. For the record, I think the interview thing is bullshit. And like you're asking a young 22-year-old like who's about to make millions of dollars like fucking question. Like no 22-year-old can answer those questions. Like
my thing of it is the interview stuff, and this again, this is what I heard. I don't know if this is true because it was running through the rumor mill, but if he was showing up in the interview with headphones on, like I don't know, man. Like the way that supposedly these people, I say these people, but these executives had said these interviews went, you wouldn't have gotten hired for the job. And like I could go in and act all flashy and stuff, but I'm not going to get the job if they don't like me, right? And I think it came down to them not liking him, them not liking his dad, which is
and that's
that
and that's the
sucks.
part. That's the part is I think it's less him and I think it's more his dad. Because his
Yeah.
dad was like, because you think about it, his dad essentially pulled the Manning card of like with Eli's
Way
dad. And like
months
Eli's
ago,
dad was
yeah.
like, "Yeah, we're not getting drafted to the Chargers. Fuck that." And like, sure, it worked out for him. So there's a blueprint for that. And I think Dion thought the same thing was going to work. And it's like, respectfully, like, there's just too much information now. Like,
Yeah.
there's too much tape on like I could go back and watch every play of Shador Sanders from his last year in Colorado, and I could pull that up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like so everybody has all the same information and I just again I think that it's less could could he probably have interviewed a little better, sure, but I think really this is like he got punished because of his dad. Like I'm gonna say a thing, I think he's a fine quarterback. I assumed that he was going to get drafted in the first round because like
That's what
there's
they
always a
do.
team that's like desperate. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just assumed there was a team that was desperate enough. Um,
This year there wasn't.
yeah, yeah, and like the teams traded back up into the first round and we're like, nah, we don't want him. Like,
Dude,
yeah, I think this more lays on Dion like
this is the
than
sad
I think Shador.
this is the sad thing. So like after you sit down with a guy, because you're right, he didn't play at the Senior Bowl, didn't play, didn't work out at the combine. It's almost as if, oh, I don't have to do that because I'm gonna get drafted. I'm gonna be a top pick. And
Yeah,
when that happens with that attitude, like the NFL said, okay, you don't want to play by our rules. Uh, we don't think you're him, dude. We don't. And it's
yeah,
weird because you could do some really messed up stuff, right?
sure,
Turns out like you could be in bad car accidents where your friends die. You could be in domestic violence situations. You could sit there with a weed mask on the night before the draft, and if you're that good, teams will overlook those intangibles, right? Laramie Tunzel, perfect
yeah,
example. Dude is he's him, right? But the
yeah.
NFL didn't think most of these teams didn't think Shador was that guy, and that's I don't know. This whole thing, I don't want to get too much into the prank call because I think that's kind of classless the way that went down.
I
Um,
think that's super fucked up.
yeah, I
Like,
don't. First of all, like you can think it's funny, and maybe 10 years ago me would have thought that was funny, but you're messing with someone's livelihood, and
sure,
I don't think that's cool. And then to find out how the information was had just is messed up. But
yeah.
these teams, I really don't know what Cleveland is doing. I really don't because for them to take the quarterback that they took, right?
Dylan
And
Gabriel,
what was
which
it,
is a
the
good,
third
solid
third
quarterback.
round? Third
Yeah,
round was
and
it?
then
Yeah.
they traded up back into the fifth round to get Shador Sanders.
I don't see that's the piece I just don't get, man. Like I don't understand that. If you go out and get Gabriel, they have five quarterbacks in that room right now.
Yeah,
Why? Why? Dude, you're
yeah,
gonna end up like I hate to say this, but Shador's getting cut.
probably.
He's gonna get cut, dude. What are you gonna cut Joe Flacco?
Respectfully, you might cut Kenny Pickett. Like I'm gonna say a thing, you might cut him.
They just traded for him.
Doesn't mean
And
shit.
I know, but like as I'm
Yeah,
thinking about it, like just looking at that, they're not cutting Deshaun Watson, right? Like,
yeah, they can't.
like they
I mean, they
own
could, but they're still on the hook.
they own
But
way too much money. And what team is going to sit there and be like, I'm going to give you trade assets when they know, okay, Cleveland, you got to make a move. You can't carry five quarterbacks into the season.
yeah,
So yeah,
I
okay, Kenny Pickett gets cut. You're going to still carry four? What? No,
I
no
bet you
way.
Shador Sanders. I'll bet any amount of money he ends up on the practice squad for Cleveland.
Oh, that would be really sad.
Here's the thing. I don't think that's sad because I think you're going to get some reps. I think you're going to get like time to like learn and like I practice squad. I don't think is like sure. I don't think that's what every player who wants to go to the NFL wants to do. But like that's also a really valuable role like teams have, and like it's kind of one of those things like you. I don't. Shador Sanders isn't going to start for Cleveland this year. He's not. But like I think if you can go into this with well, I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to learn and just be a sponge and soak up everything and make the best of a bad situation. Like, I think there's like, I don't know. I think there's a world where like, I think he's on the practice squad and maybe he gets like brought up as like third string quarterback. I think
Yeah.
they're going to carry three quarterbacks though, because they have to.
But this is the
Respectfully,
thing.
with
So
Joe
you think he's going to be
Pickett,
better than Gabriel?
I don't know. I think they're going to find that out in training camp. I think they're going to let the two of them duke it out for that third string spot
Yeah.
because Deshaun Watson's not playing this year. I think we can all agree on that.
Oh yeah,
Like he's not playing.
he tore his ACL, right?
He tore his Achilles again, I think,
Ah,
or is
Achilles
he?
during training. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
During rehab, he tore his Achilles. Yeah.
yeah.
Um.
So he's done this year. So like you kind of you don't factor him in. So now you're talking about four quarterbacks. And respectfully, Joe Flacco is old as dirt. So like,
But he's the only guy in that room with a ring.
yeah, and like you got Kenny Pickett, who like hasn't ever really lit the world on fire. I
What,
think
does
they're
Kenny
gonna.
Pickett have a ring?
He does have a ring.
Yeah,
He
because
does.
he was with
He
Philly.
took snaps in the Super. He
Yeah,
took snaps in the Super Bowl last year.
yeah, yep.
Um, yeah, and so I think you're gonna keep those two, and then I think they're gonna have a training camp battle for that third spot.
Hmm.
And I think the one that doesn't get it, I will bet any amount of money that I bet you they put him on the practice squad.
Yeah, it just, I don't know, man. Really messed up situation. I wonder how things come out from there. And it's so interesting too because like you think about the difference in Travis Hunter, right? There was people coming out and saying like, "Oh, teams didn't like all the flash and the dancing." Dude, Travis Hunter is that guy, right? Like you saw after he
Yeah,
got drafted, he was dancing his way to the podium, right? Wearing
yeah.
big chains. All of these guys were wearing big chains and stuff. But I think something happened in those interviews that made some of those execs say, "He's not our guy. We're not doing this." And
You
it
talking about Shador Sanders?
yeah, man.
Yeah,
I really
yeah,
do. And like that's an unfortunate thing because whatever that attitude was, he's got to fix that if that's the case. Right?
right.
If it's a vendetta against his dad, that's messed up and that's more on the teams and his dad than it is him. It's an indictment on them, not him. Right? But
Yeah,
I don't know. Like the guy showed he can play behind a pretty lopsided offensive line at Colorado. But
yeah.
I don't know. The NFL's a different deal, man. It's very different, right? Guys that have
I
had
just think
success in college go into the pros and get their butts kicked. Like it's.
I just think some of the quarterbacks that were drafted ahead of him, I think that like Shador Sanders was better than them.
I agree, man. I honestly think he was
Like,
the at least one of the top five quarterbacks in this draft, at least.
absolutely. Yeah.
And to see
Um,
some of these other guys get drafted ahead of him, it was uh
yeah.
kind of embarrassing, man.
And you'll never know the real story because like nobody's ever gonna leak that. But like,
Oh, it will come out. It will.
yeah.
It will, man. They
But
it just I
yeah,
don't
I
know.
I just hope for Sanders' sake, Shador Sanders' sake, like this is a learning opportunity and he works hard and like you never know when your number's gonna get called
You know
to like
one
get
thing
put into action.
one thing I want to mention because I saw this, I really am inspired quite a bit by a lot of the things that Lewis Riddick says. I think he's very very smart. And I'd love to see him in a front office someday. I don't know why teams haven't given him a chance to do that, or maybe he doesn't want to do that, or whatever it is. But he talked the other day about Dion when he was a rookie. Dion he got drafted by the Falcons, and his first game, Dion came over to him and checked on him and said like, "Hey, how you doing, Rook? Like, you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm good. How are you?" And he's like, "Don't worry about me. Like, I'm gonna be fine. But are you doing all right?" And he's like, "I always remember that the way that he took care." He goes, "And no one knows that stuff. No one knows that about Dion. They just see the flashy chain wearing sunglasses indoors, all of this stuff from the guy, but they don't
Mm,
know." The real guy that he is, the giver, right? And I thought that was an interesting point to bring up because it's very easy to get offended by him. Very easy if you're
yeah.
insecure, right? And I think he creates a lot of insecurity in other people. The way he acts, it causes their insecurities to come out, right?
I always say this, but trailblazers are often misunderstood. And I think where Dion is misunderstood is because like he figured out how to maximize the transfer portal. Like
Yeah,
he figured that out. He like figured that out in a way that other teams didn't.
yeah.
And like,
Well, dude, he was a
you
trail.
know,
Don't forget, he was a trailblazer when he came into the league,
absolutely. And he
right?
was again, there's a whole documentary talking about him playing baseball and football
Yeah.
and how people were pissed about that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's he could have cared less, but it's
yeah,
so funny to see that piece. Um, and I mean, I was too young to really fully appreciate it, how good he actually was. Um, but
played in a World Series and a Super Bowl. Like that's not nothing.
yeah, not nothing. So I hope things do work out for the kid because I don't want Shador to be punished for life because of that. Um, Yeah,
Yeah.
and I just I don't know, man. Hopefully things will work out for all of these guys. Wishing them all really good luck in the NFL, and of course that means in about 4 months there's going to be guys whose NFL careers are over, or their dreams aren't being realized because there's a new batch of people coming in. But I'm excited for training camp. I'm excited to see these OTAs, like what we've got
Yeah.
coming down in the future here. So, anything else you want to mention before we wrap up?
No, man, that's pretty much it. Like, you know what's coming soon? We start gearing up for fantasy football.
Yes, we do.
Another year where I come in the reigning defending champ in one league. You all have to bow to me, and I won't take anything else for an answer on
Well,
that. So,
listen, I finished second
yeah,
place in the Guillotine
sure,
League, and we will be taking applications for the Guillotine League. We're looking to spice things up in all the fantasy leagues this year, doing a little
great.
more, make things a little crazier. But yeah, anyone looking to play, shoot us a message, drop a DM below. Let us know what's going on, and also do not forget before we close out. I will be posting the link for the Scott Pacino. Well, it's actually his son Danny Pacino's fundraising link below. Again, nothing big. $1, $5, 600, whatever you decide. Go ahead and
Yeah,
and drop in. It's for a good cause. So, and again, we appreciate it. We love you guys,
yeah,
and I love you, bro.
man.
Thank you for coming out. We got another good
Yeah,
one that we cooked up today.
yeah, I love you too. You dropped the news recently that you're coming home this summer, which means maybe we can do a live episode like in person. And yeah, I'm fucking psyched to see you this summer, man. Like you were the highlight of last summer for me, and we got into some shenanigans. And shout out Fred. He has still never recovered from that night.
Yeah,
And yeah,
you need to strike some fear
so
into that kid's soul again. He
I
needs it.
sure did. I
Yeah.
sure did.
All right. Well, listen, bro. Another good one, and we will catch you guys next week. I love you, bro.
All right, I love you too. Peace.
Peace.